Seek support and do not feel guilty about doing so. One of the most important things to do when you're going through anything traumatic, particularly a breakup, is to seek support from your loved ones and the people that are around you. Having a support network and being part of that support network and receiving support from others is one of the most powerful ways in which you can recover from your breakup. I'm not saying that you can't do it without the help of others, but I would say, why would you want to do it without the help of others? Talking about what's going on, venting about how shit it is, or just being in the company of other people will make you feel better. And yes, it will utterly feel like you're picking up a pile of shit and just laying it in that person's lap and saying, here's all the shit that I'm dealing with right now, and just splurging it at them. And chances are that if you're the sort of person, if you're a kind of a sensitive person, you will not want to do that, because you will feel like, I don't want to lay all of that stuff onto my loved ones because I don't want them to have to deal with it. And if that's the case, there are two things that you need to get your head around. Number one, you would happily do the same thing if the roles were reversed. You would happily sit there and listen to your loved one's problem if they were going through the same thing, because you would want to help them. So why should it be any different for you? Number two, it is absolutely fine to be selfish in times of emotional need. It's in fact vital. Having to do this stuff by yourself is the worst thing that you could possibly try and do. It's going to make it infinitely harder. So it is okay to be selfish when times are really hard. One thing which you might find really helpful when you're speaking to loved ones, particularly if they're the sort of people who perhaps aren't the best at having these conversations, is to tell them from the outset that you're not expecting an answer from you, not expecting some sort of magical words to fall out of the mouth and make you feel better. Is to just go to them and say, look, I'm not expecting any answers or any solutions right now. I just need someone to talk at, just to get everything out in the open about how I'm feeling. So if you can just sit there and listen, that would be really helpful for me. This takes the pressure off of you, and it takes the pressure off of that person as well. Whatever you do, don't go down memory lane. One of the quickest ways to feel absolutely terrible and shit about what's going on in your breakup is to start diving down into the rabbit hole of memory lane. There may be a time and a place in the future where you can kind of reminisce about this sort of things, but it's certainly not during the recovery phase of your breakup. So you should actively avoid things like looking at old photos, thinking about the good old days, listening to your song or songs that remind you of them, talking about how things used to be, looking through mementos, souvenirs, birthday cards, Valentine's cards, and birthday presents, and that sort of thing. Definitely do not contact your ex when something reminds you of them. Basically, don't get nostalgic about the relationship at all. It's not the right time, it's not the right place. If you are a Facebook user, then one of the best things you can do to help with this is to go onto Facebook memories and block your ex from coming up as an option. You can do this, you can just hide memories with regards to a certain person or a certain date, so that when you look on Facebook memories, which I personally like to do because I like to see photos of my children when they were younger and things that I've done with my friends in the past, you can still look at that, but without reminders of your ex coming up. So that is one of the best bits of advice I can give you with regards to not going down memory lane. Don't project into the future. A relationship is, or can be, a foundation of your entire life. When you've settled down with that person, chances are when you're with that person, you had plans for the future, you had ideas, you had kind of things you were going to do together, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath your feet and all of that is then gone. When the relationship ends, all sorts of logistical problems come up. Things like childcare, financial side of things, where who's going to move out of the house, how that's all going to work. And with so much of the foundation of your life removed and so much uncertainty surrounding so many things, it can be really easy to spiral off thinking, well, what is me living at my parents' going to mean in a month's time, or 3 months' time, or 6 months' time? What's it going to mean in terms of childcare when I have that change in job that's coming up, or whatever? You can spiral off into the 3, 4, 6 months, 10 years into the future, thinking about what the breakup is going to mean then. But you can't solve next month's problems right now. The only problems that you can solve, if you can even solve them at all, is what's right here, right now in front of you. When you're faced with this situation, it can be really helpful to actually write down all of the things that are in your head that you're kind of worrying about. Once you've made that list, you need to then decide what are the things on this list that need to be done today. And when I say need to be done today, I mean actually need, as in, unless I do this, I'm not going to have a place to sleep tonight. And that kind of primal level of survival. And what can wait till tomorrow and what needs to be done today? And the things that need to be done today, you do them. Things that do not need to be done today, you say they can be done at a later date. And then the following day, you can make another list if you need to. And you can repeat this process just so you keep yourself grounded in the here and now, rather than spiraling off, years into the future. Now, I'm not naive enough or stupid enough to think that there aren't decisions that need to be made now, which are going to have kind of a direct influence on the future. Believe me, I know. But what I am saying is that you've got enough on your plate already. So you want the minimum amount of craziness going on. So look at the decisions which actually need to be made today and do those ones. Maybe they have some sort of consequence for the future. Maybe they don't. But concentrate as much as you can on just day by day, just doing it all one day at a time. Don't seek revenge. Revenge is not a dish best served cold. Revenge is a dish best taken off of the menu and then all the parts from it then put in the bin outside of the restaurant, and then the bin should be set on fire and then not served at all. When someone hurts us, when someone does something horrible or disrespectful, if someone cheats on you or says something awful or whatever it might be, our natural instinct is for that they should then suffer the same fate. Or they cheated on me, I'm going to cheat back on them. They kissed my friend, I'm going to kiss their friend. But ultimately, it's pretty childish. And what happens then? You get revenge, and then they want to get revenge back, and then you want to get revenge back, and it escalates from what could potentially have been quite a small thing into quite a big thing. And you don't need any more shit going on in your life right now. No matter what your ex has done, just let it pass. Just whatever it is to say, it's fine, let it pass. Now, this may feel to some people like a sign of weakness, like they're getting away with it or something like that, or like you're weak. But it actually takes a huge amount more strength to be able to let something go that's hurt you than to kind of instantly snap back. Snapping back at something and retaliating is the easiest option, and is also the worst option. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, said, "The best revenge is to not be like your enemy." I'm not suggesting your ex is your enemy, but you get my point. Live your life for you, and don't let what your ex has done to you in the past affect you. Live for you and your future. Keep busy. When you're going for a breakup, all of a sudden you might find that you've got an awful lot more time on your hands, because all of the time that you used to spend with your ex, you're now not spending with your ex for obvious reasons. So in that time, it can be really easy just to kind of wallow a little bit and just feel sad and cry and stuff. And yeah, as I've said before, that's completely natural and completely normal. However, it's better to keep yourself busy. So fill up that time with things that you would like to do. So is there a hobby that you kind of let fall to the wayside because you didn't have time for it anymore because you were in a relationship? Are there friends that you kind of lost contact with a bit because of your ex? Reconnect with those people. Spend time with old friends. Spend time with your current friends. Spend time with family and loved ones. Take up a new hobby. Do some mindfulness colouring or some painting by numbers. Do stuff to fill up your time and fill up your mind with other things. Because if you don't, your mind is going to instantly turn to the thing which is hurting you the most, and then you're going to fall back into that pattern of negative behaviour and feeling sad about the relationship. Which I've said before is okay to do, but it's better to keep yourself busy and keep yourself doing things. Don't think about what you could have done differently. Now, this is a big one, and it's completely natural to look back at the relationship and say, well, if only I'd been a bit more this, if only I'd done this for them more often, if only they'd done that for me more often, and you can analyze it to all hell. And probably the outcome is that you're going to feel bad about yourself because you're in a bad place, you're not feeling great. So you're going to pick all of the negatives out of that. You're going to say, well, if only I'd done that, then we'd still be together. Oh, it's all my fault, etc., etc., etc. And that's just not the case. You're going to ask yourself, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? Your brain will naturally start looking for answers. But the brutal truth is that the past has already been written. And as such, the answer to those questions are, you can't do anything differently because it's in the past. I strongly advise being this blunt with yourself, because asking yourself or saying to yourself, if only I had, is just going to provide you with nothing but mental torment.